A brand new season of high school football is here. My name is Francis Becht. I'm joined by Tom Prince, and this is our official WNY Athletics Class AA preview. Tom, I don't know about you, but I am excited for this season.
I don't know if I've seen that much excitement out of you to start anything off. I'm wowed already. So, listen, how can you not be excited, right? New year, new beginnings, right? New start. This is just like whether it's pro football, whether it's college football, whether it's high school football. We all think everybody's got the opportunity right now to get to the stadium, right?
I know. Everybody, we were out there on August 20th, and they moved the first day of practice to a Saturday, and it was just awesome seeing all the kids out there playing football. I talked to Noah Willoughby from South Park, and he admitted to me he had trouble sleeping the night before because he was so excited thinking about this, and I'm sure he wasn't the only one out there.
I agree with you. But, but even though it was the first practice, let's be honest, they've been all going for a while. Every sport, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, right, field hockey, soccer, I don't care what the sport, it's year-round now. Right? You're doing something year-round. This is now the beginning, though, to the start of the season.
This is when it officially counts. These aren't workouts, 7-on-7s. This is actually real practices. They count. But since we have that, over the past few months, we've been collecting coaches' questionnaires from all of our coaches around Section 6 Monsignor Martin. So we want to thank our coaches for filling these out. These will not only help us with this show, but with our broadcasts and other things going on for the rest of the season. So we're going to do our Class AA. Why don't I pull up? That's our Class AA football preview. And I just want to turn this down so we could see the team. So we have on our screen, you can see Hutch Tech, Niagara Falls, Orchard Park, Bennett, and Lancaster. And we're going to go in alphabetical order. And we're going to start with the Bennett Tigers. They are coming off going to the Class AA state championship game, coached by Steve McDuffie, 13 years. We know they went 11-2 last year. They're returning 9 guys on offense, starters on offense, 8 on defense, and they're bringing back some very good players, Tom, including Rashad Perry and Jaden Lewis.
Just realize that 17 players are returning from last year. 17 from a team that made it to the state championship. In my eyes right now, Coach McDuffie, this is a state championship caliber team, and I'm going state championship or bust is what it is.
I mean, you look at it, and I think the two biggest losses, you say Dominic Allen, a big rusher, won Buffalo News Player of the Year, Tori Anderson, your fullback. But if we learned over the offseason, they got some guys coming in who I think it can fill those roles in.
That's the other part. We haven't even gotten to who they still got coming in, right? But, I mean, you got to look at it. Jaden Lewis, what he can do to shut down a passing attack is just unbelievable. I mean, last year with the 12 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries, and 8 defensive touchdowns off his takeaways, I'm not sure we're going to see anything like that again, right? That was just unbelievable what he did out there. But listen, I'm going to make I don't know how bold it's going to be, right? But Conley Cup, we could be talking about somebody making a finalist for a Conley Cup that may not be in those skilled positions.
I'm coming out with my Connolly Cup preview. I'm not sure if it'll be out by the time we put this out, but I have 2 guys from Bennett, and neither of them are traditional skill players. Rashad Perry and Jaden Lewis.
Right? I mean, you got to put both of those on the list right now. I mean, when you look at, we're looking at some stats right now from last season, but Rashad Perry with 24 sacks, 123 tackles, and by the way, 25 tackles for a loss. This is junior year. What is he going to do as a senior? I mean, the kid is just capable of some amazing things. And we've seen it ever since he was young, is we were absolutely seeing. This kid is something to watch. If you have not seen him play, you better get out and see a Bennett game. You better get out and see this kid. And listen, I'm going to be the first one at one point where my son's going to have to go head-to-head with him, right? And I already know how good this kid is. And he is just, something special. He really is. And Rashad Perry, no doubt, is going to be etching his name in something at the end of the season.
You know, I just want to mention, too, about Lewis and Perry before we go on to their new players coming in. You know, they both played very well in the state playoffs. We saw Lewis had multiple, I think he had 2 or 3 takeaways in that game against Aquinas in the regional final. You know, that was something, too, I know they lost in the final game, but it seemed like as this team got deeper and deeper in the playoffs, guys like Lewis and Perry really showed up, and they did not shrink from that moment.
Also, don't take away from the fact that Antonio Davis III is going to be a 3-year starter at quarterback, knows that offense, knows how to run it, can pass the ball when needed to. I'm telling you, they've got weapons from every single angle that's out there. And Rashad Perry's not the only one that's going to be anchoring that line. That line has got some very good linemen that's out there already with returning all Western New York players. Delshawn Taylor, Jason Guan. You've also got defensive end Adrian Anderson. These are all kids that are out there right now that can absolutely have an impact. That if you think you're going to double and triple team or throw whatever it is, kitchen sink at Perry, there's other guys that are going to be waiting right there for their opportunity to be able to get back there.
And, you know, we mentioned Dominic Allen, who was one of the leading rushers in all Western New York, is gone, but there are some good candidates to fill those shoes, starting with Kareem Hathcock, who comes over from Canisius. He'll be looking for that spot. There's also from St. Francis, Aaron Roseborough. He's going to transfer in. He's going to be a wide receiver, expected to play a little running back, wide receiver, a little bit of everything. And then up from the JV, they have Isaac Daines and Donald Porter coming up. So, Daines also plays defensive end. So there's a lot of talent on that Bennett roster to go around.
Just up and down. Like we said, you're talking about, right, what are they looking for? 22 overall starters is what they're looking for, right? 17 of them already back. And we're adding in at least 6-7 names of transfers out there that are going to be battling for positions that are out there.
I forgot to mention Jameer Thomas,
I mean,
who is from Health Sciences.
So it just shows this team is capable of some big things. It really is. And no doubt, forget Western New York, New York State, you better watch out. This team's for real. Coach McDuffie's got something big going on over there.
All right, now who's our next team, Tom?
So our next team would be the Hutch Tech Engineers. And there we've got first-year head coach, right? Micah Harris is first total year of the program, right? So hopefully we're going to see some big things come out of him that's out there. Last year, unfortunately, 0-8 that went out there. But I do believe there's a new focus, right? There absolutely is I believe Coach Harris has got things ready to go. He definitely is excited about what they've seen so far in the offseason. They've got 4 offensive starters returning, 6 on the defensive side of the ball, 10 starters. That is a decent core to go up against, right? And then really you're going to be talking about David Nixon, Zamir Covington, Delonte Frisbee, Zamar Covington, Anthony Clark, Andrew Worley, and Nazir McKelly will be your returning players that will be coming back for them. Julio Nieves, Xavier McIntyre, and Andrew Hardy will be the new players that we haven't heard about yet that should be making the impact on this Hutch Tech team. Listen, I remember back in 2017, that was when my oldest, actually, if you remember, played ball. Hutch Tech was a really good team back then. This team is capable of some really big players to do things. I believe they needed to get things focused on with their coach. They got that right now. Let's see what they're going to be able to do. The unfortunate thing is you've got 3 huge games that are out there in Bennett, Lancaster, and Orchard Park, right? And so what your goal is can we at least knock one of them off, right, this season? That's the win to us. So can they go after one of those teams and get a win?
Yeah, and I think you look at this program, one of the reasons why it can be so dominant, they have the biggest beds in all of the section. With the way the city kind of doles out the schools, there's only 5 teams among all those schools in the city of Buffalo. Granted, a lot of those schools are much smaller than you'll see out in the suburbs. But nonetheless, they do have the biggest beds, meaning they theoretically have the most kids to draw from. So, but I think it'll take time in Hutch Tech.
And like you said, theoretically,
yes.
Right? Let's make sure that is the key word right there. But listen, But they've talked about it. They're looking for, as well as I do. I don't care what the sport is. I don't care what the team is. Your head coach can really make a difference sometimes in what happens out there on the field. They've got their coach now, right? So now let's see what happens right here the rest of the way for Hutch Tech.
All right, those are our first two teams. We're going to take a short break, but coming up, we're going to talk about the Lancaster Legends. Their reign as Class AA champions came to an end. Do they have enough to come back? We'll be right back after this.
I love the
Our commercial. Oh.
Our homes have become offices, gyms, schools, and playgrounds. And at Western New York Immediate Care, we know you may need us now more than ever. Whether you've suffered a minor injury or just aren't feeling well, Western New York Immediate Care physicians are trained to diagnose and treat most non-life-threatening injuries and illnesses. With 5 convenient locations open 7 days a week, help is never far away. Life has changed, but Western New York Immediate Care is still here for you.
I love being home.
There's nothing better than owning the perfect house to come home to. You've earned it, and we'll make it happen. Our local real estate experts and in-house team of financial professionals make buying or selling your home simple. Howard Hanna. Home happens here.
I love being home.
Welcome back to WNY Athletics Class AA football preview. My name's Francis Beck. I'm again joined by Tom Prince, and let's jump back into it. The Lancaster Legends were 5-time Class AA champions. They went back to the stadium, and they lost to, as the aforementioned, we mentioned, Bennett Tigers at the stadium. I know that's considered a disappointing year for Lancaster there, but most teams would be happy just to make it to the stadium. I know they're a little disappointed, but Lancaster fans, be a little grateful for what you got.
Oh, yeah. I think you're going to give them bulletin board material right here. No, listen, Lancaster has been a perennial powerhouse for a reason, right? And that is, to me, one of the best coaching staffs in Western New York, right? Your coaches have these kids prepared day in and day out, game in and game out, on a daily basis. I'll never forget the first time I got a chance to see this coaching staff at the stadium. And I was in the bleachers looking down at the sideline. And you truly saw coaches all over the place making adjustments in game, teaching those adjustments in game, and going out and doing it for next play, right? Next set of plays, whatever it was. I'm telling you, it's one of the best coaching staffs for the reason, and that's the reason for those 5 times. We just talked about it with Hutch Tech, right? A good coach can do everything. Now imagine when you got a staff that's unbelievable that you really trust. It's Lancaster.
And that staff is headed up by Eric Rupp, who is entering his 7th year as the head coach. Last year they went 9-2 again, went to the stadium. They returned 4 starters on offense, 8 on defense, and their returning captain is Terry Townsend. Other key returning players are Manny Williams, Tyrese Palmer, Jeremiah Martin. Oh, do I have the wrong? You know what? I have the wrong.
Tommy Carlson, Micah Harry, Jacob Zimmerman, Sam Judas, Evan Stencil, Mike Sell, Braden Mahoney, Devin Kowalski, Jack Harrington, Max Stolt, and Matt Bauer would be your returning players.
Thank you, Tom. I was on the wrong page there. That's the
right,
problem with the double-sided.
That's why I helped you out right there, so we didn't lose it.
He has the digital copy. I have the hard copy. So I look at this Lancaster team, and a lot of people would say, that Bennett's doing so well, as we mentioned. They're bringing back all these guys. Lancaster, they're going to take a dip down. I don't know about that. As we mentioned, they have a great coaching staff, and they do have a bunch of guys back. They have Micah Harry, a returning Connolly Cup finalist. I don't see, they played Bennett close in that game. There's no reason why they can't play another great game. We know how good they are at halftime adjustments.
Oh, no, halftime. I told you in-game adjustments, right? No, I 100% agree with you right there. If somebody's going to count Lancaster out, you're crazy. You really are. This is a team you've got to make sure. Love what they've done with their schedule this year. We're going to see probably one of the best games in Western New York when we see Canisius go head-to-head with them, right? In a matchup where we're going to get to see Canisius play them at home. We're going to see a Jamestown matchup with them. Oh, and then, by the way, in conference, we get to see them play Bennett, right? We get to see them play Orchard Park. Come on, that's a rivalry game right there. I'm telling you, I love this schedule. Love what they're going to do now. Let's just see it actually play out on the field.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a very good season this year. Next up is the Niagara Falls Wolverines. Tom, why don't you tell us?
We're going to go Niagara Falls? Okay.
Yeah, Niagara Falls.
So, obviously, 15-year head coach Donald Bass, 29 years with the program. He'll be back again. He 5-4 record back in 2019. Last year, unfortunately, was 1-8. Not many starters returning. This is going to be a big bump that's going to be coming up from JV. Only 2 offensive starters, 3 defensive starters. So only 5 we're talking about coming back. Looks like their captain will be led by Terry Townsend, Manny Williams, Tyrus Palmer, Jeremiah Martin, and Quadir Hill are going to be the main returning players. The players that we actually want to watch out for, Kenari Armstrong and Christian Hewitt, will be the 2 names to watch out for from Niagara Falls. The one thing I've always been impressed with Niagara Falls, every time I go out there, because, listen, no secret, one of the things I love talking about as a big guy, right, is the lines. I do it all the time. And the one thing I always look at is Niagara Falls always has a line that's going to go out there and compete. Let's see, though, about pulling it through. And, Coach has, I know, done everything to help pull this program through. A lot of things are coming through right now with this team. We're hearing a lot of positive come out of camp, right? Coach has really been talking about positivity. A lot of stuff we haven't heard coming out of camp. I love so far what we're hearing coming out of the Niagara Falls camp. And again, I believe right now we're talking about the same scenario as Hutch Tech, right? You're in a very small division right here. So your win has to be, can I get a win against a Bennett, a Lancaster, or an Orchard Park?
And can I compete with a Hutch Tech?
Right. They competed last year, right?
Yeah.
They're already looking at, I better be able to compete with each other. But what's going to be a successful season is, can I get a win over one of those 3 programs? In other words, one of those 3 programs going to sleep on us, thinking that we can't be there. Because if you do, watch out. Do we have the upset in mind? And can we have the upset in mind, especially, with the new mentality or the new way of thinking there in Niagara Falls?
All right, we're going to take another short break before we get to our final team, right? Or we have one more team left.
Yep.
So we'll take a short break before we get to them because I know Tom is very excited to talk about them. So you're watching the Class AA football preview on WNY Athletics.
Avoiding care can lead to worse problems. Don't delay care. We're here for you. Western New York Immediate Care provides quick, quality care for non-emergent injuries and illnesses. Go to WNYImmediatecare.com for more information.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics. Call our Buffalo office today for an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs.
Welcome back for our final segment of our 2022 Class AA football preview. Francis Beck, Tom Prince here. And we're going to talk about this final team, the Orchard Park Quakers, a team Tom knows very well. First-year head coach Michael Cieslak, am I saying that right?
Yep.
Is taking over. He's been with the program, though, for 20 years. Last year, this team went 5-5. They fell in the semifinals to Bennett. They returned 4 starters on offense, 3 on defense. Key returning players, Ben Gosella, he led the section in passing yards over last season. They also bring back Dylan Evans, who I believe was 4th in receiving. Brody Stevens, Simon Boncaldo, Nick Poltowski, a guy named Luke Prince, I don't know if you know him at all, and Jack McDonald. So they have a pretty strong core comeback. Obviously, I think the one big loss is Keegan Macabelli, who led the area in receiving last year. But they bring back a strong core.
They bring back, listen, you got a 3-year quarterback that's looking to break some records, right? You really are.
Well, he led the section as a junior.
Right. I'm telling you, this kid's got records that easily can be broken. He's got a receiver that if you get it near him is going to catch the ball, right? We know that, right? But we've also seen defenses stop them, right? Bennett did it, obviously, in the playoff game, and Lancaster did it during the season. So what are going to be the adjustments? I'll tell you, I've said it since day one. I love Orchard Park's decision with Coach Cieslik right here. Coach Dana was trying to do everything he can to turn the program around. No doubt about it. Love Coach Dana. But if I can't have Coach Dana right now, then I got the man I want. And the reason why I love what Coach Cieslik is, you can see he's doing everything right. And his communication isn't only with the varsity. It's from the bottom up, right? It's going all the way down into the feeder program, into it, and he's been a part of it. And I love exactly what we're hearing from him. I really do. Coach Cieslik, I think, is going to do some special things, and I really believe that. Listen, I said it in the interviews. You just saw him released today, right? I asked Orchard Park, listen, you guys, you gave up, a huge amount of points in your last game at Bennett. Everyone's looking at that defense. What are the big changes that are going to be there, right? That's the thing that's got to come through. And you're going to see Simon Bacaldo, Brody Steemans, Nick Poltowski, and Luke, is going to anchor that defensive tackle spot, right? No doubt you're hearing some big things, but you got to pull it through, right? Now's the time to pull it through. If that line, let me say it again. If that line can actually give Ben Casella some time, watch out. This could be, again, that prolific offense that we saw put up some huge points. But that's the if. You got to remember is that whole offensive line from last year is pretty much gone, right? It really is. And that was a fairly big and offensive line that did well. Obviously, it's why you saw him put up so many points. You lost that whole line. Right? You lost the whole line. So now you're trying to retool and do it as quick as you can. I do think this is probably one of the best off seasons I've seen Orchard Park have. I really do. I love these upper camps that we're seeing. I love some of the things that we're seeing from all the schools. I truly believe, and I said this actually in a tweet, I believe in Western New York has probably done more in the off season as an entire group, all of Western New York schools, more than I've ever seen. I think we're going to see some big things play out in the field this year.
Yeah, we saw a 7-on-7 at Will North, a 7-on-7 at Jamestown. Tons of upper camps. I think these were around before. I feel like COVID kind of simmered, put a dimmer on it, and it's almost like this stuff is coming back with a vengeance.
But you know what? You're right. It was before, but it wasn't prevalent all throughout Western New York. There were only certain schools doing it. Now I feel everyone's doing them, right? Which is why we're going to see a more prepared teams all throughout Western New York, not just a select few amount of teams.
Before we go to our outlook, I do want to mention key new players that Coach Cieslik is counting on this year for Orchard Park. Jack Bazinski, Bobby Budin, Justice Codwell, Chris McDonald, Anthony Piccolo, Carson Spuddick. So those are some players that Coach is counting on to be impact players for the Quakers this year. One final thought. We mentioned Dylan Evans is coming back, but Keegan Macabelli's gone. You wonder, I can't imagine defenses defending Macabelli and Evans on the outside. Now they just have to worry about Evans. So the question is, do they have someone who can step up and bring back some of that production, or can Evans handle it all? We know he's looking to play at the next level. You wonder how he's going to enter, what his mindset is entering the season, what Ben Gosella's mindset is entering the season. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out with the Orchard Park offense.
If you watch social media, look at some of the things Dylan Evans has done in the offseason. I'm telling you, this kid's ready, right? He really has done some big things in the offseason, and especially working with some of the best safeties, corners that he could find out there that are going to push him, drag him, take him down, do whatever they could, and he's still coming up with some big catches on film. I'm telling you, Dylan is ready. This team's ready. But again, Like I said to you all along, it's still going to have to be the trenches. Because if Ben Casella doesn't get enough time to throw the ball,
it doesn't
matter. Right?
All right. Before we wrap up, I'm going to pull up on our screen the teams in AA this year. You can see them on your screen. We're not going to do a standings, but give me your outlook a little bit. What's AA probably going to look like this year?
I can't bet against Bennett right now. You can't. I mean, come on, 17 returners. And by the way, I got more that are even coming in there. Like, I technically could have a whole team that really returned that has got experience.
If you could,
so
you
put
have
the
22 starters.
You got a full team of experience that's coming back because they played somewhere. Right? I'm telling you, they are loaded. You know what I mean? You got to watch out for injuries. There are things, of course, that can happen that's there. But I'll tell you, I really believe Bennett's the real deal. They're going to be tough to beat. Now, I'm not going to count Lancaster at least to make that game. And in a close game, anything can happen sometimes, right? So Lancaster's going to make any game they're in close. When have you heard about Lancaster getting blown out in the past 6 years?
No, I haven't. I don't think so. Maybe maybe deep in a state title game, but I don't even think that's a thing.
But even the game you remember during the season with Bennett and Lancaster, Bennett started pulling away.
I think actually, I think Lancaster had a lead in that game.
But they came back to get that lead.
Yeah.
But Bennett pulled away, if you remember. Then Lancaster came running back, and then they got the lead, and then Bennett actually goes off for the win. But I'll tell you right now, Bennett, with all the talent they have on that field, they are going to be a tough team to beat. I like Lancaster, and then to me, the next one, the wild card, is Orchard Park. I'll tell you, remember, the only one who's beaten Bennett in the last 2 years is who?
Orchard Park.
Right? So
they've had some weird Saturday afternoon games.
And they did it with that, you know what I mean, that offense that's got Evans and, Casella to it. Now, I'm not saying that, you know what I mean, I do believe it's unbelievable what I'm seeing on the ball from Bennett. I'm just making a comment. But I do believe you've got Bennett that's going to lead the way. And then Orchard Park, Lancaster's, to me, is your 2-3. But right now, you've got to give the nod at least to Lancaster at this point because you really haven't seen Orchard Park beat Lancaster in a while, and they've got to overcome that. They're right now trying to overcome a couple hurdles to be able to get, I think, to where they want to go.
All right, well, that will wrap it up for our Class AA football preview. For Tom Prince, I'm Francis Beck. Thank you for tuning in, and keep watching our videos this preseason.